Toxic, aka Annika, and welcome to my channel. And this time we're carrying on with my series of all my completed pages and WIP-s in my coloring books. And we are carrying on from last time when I was talking about the books that are in this kind of a rectangular. I couldn't figure out how to sort my books for these series, so I just went for shape size cover type of a thing. So we're talking about kind of a soft cover A4 rectangular kind of a full-sized books, and the one we're starting with today is Color Me Capybaras, which I genuinely love this book. It's a simple, fairly kiddie book. Sorry, I'm going to have a drink. My throat is getting dry. And the line art is just so adorable. It was getting kind of banged up, so I put a cover on it. I do that for quite a few of my kind of more, soft cover books that are kind of, especially if they're used more, they kind of get a bit tired. So this book is fantastic and I love it. Although there's a caveat. I can't say that I love this paper, although it's better than Amazon paper now, don't get me wrong. For example, this page I tried to do with felty pens that I scrabbled onto. I have these big cutting boards, plastic ones, that have a bit of a texture on it. And instead of using a palette, there is Caran d'Ache palette that you can do the same thing on. But I find that this area is much bigger, so I can kind of spread out with my colors. I'm using these, and I was kind of using water brush, and I wanted to do the water with that, kind of those variations. And I managed to do it, but the paper was absolutely hating me by the end of it. You can see there's actually like crinkles here, which I couldn't get out. I actually had to kind of try to iron it at the end. And I got it kind of mostly all right, but you can still see those crinkles. So, kind of a very watery stuff, not really an option in this book. But a little bit of water or real brush pens, I can show you later on, work here fine. Alcohol markers are fine. And pencils go down very nicely. So in that sense, it's way nicer than Amazon paper. This is one of the popular pages here. For some reason, everybody loved the heck out of it. It's based with alcohol markers. I have a set of Artex Oros pastel set, and I just used, I think it was that set I used, to just put on wash of different pastel colors, using cooler colors as shadows, and kind of using brighter colors as highlights. So nothing here, in the base at least, is actually white. And then I used acrylic brush marker. Pretty sure it was Simtab. Yep, here it is, the Simtab white. I used that to kind of do the bigger, and it has fairly thick outlines, this book. So I took out the really thick outlines here. I put some white, we need to be kind of more soft and transparent here. This is kind of the steam coming from the cup. And then I used a thick Posca marker. I think it's a 3mm one. This one? No, it's 5mm one. That one. It's, oh God. Okay, that tip. It's a nice hefty tip. And it gives a nice hefty blob of color. And the snow, so it would be really bright white and would show up here. I used that marker to dab the snow onto it. Snow was already there, but it was kind of black, and it just doesn't look right. The snow scenes, I tend to take out the lines. I just, don't like them there. Taking out the line art for me is kind of, sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't, but in these cases I almost always do. Yeah, it came out super cute. And it's then some pencils on top. In the snow, I kind of worked the snow over a little bit with Brutfuner macaron pencils. I have them on my next to me pretty much. I pretty much have them next to me all the time. Sorry, I kind of stood up for a second, kind of like this on my desk. These are the Brutfuner macarons. and I use them to complement pretty much any other set of pencils. They are very well priced, great colors, good pencils, soft, blend with pretty much anything. So, and I don't remember what pencils did I use. Oh, color soft pencils I used on the actual capybara. And of course it helps that I just like capybaras a lot. I think they're super cute. This one is just done based with, I call it my random marker drawer. It's all odds and ends of kind of good markers, but you know, I don't have full sets of them, or never had full sets of them, or maybe, you know, most of them have run out. So I have kind of a couple of little, it's a kind of little drawers. I don't mean big drawers. They're kind of little drawers of those like document holder drawer sets. And you know, occasionally I pull them out and just make myself to use these to kind of try to use them up. But they work good. Like these are like pro markers and stuff, you know, they're good markers. It's just, here's a WIP, which is, this is acrylic wash. There's alcohol markers. These are all from the random marker drawer, I can tell you that. This is from the random marker drawer, you know. So basically all base is done with the random marker drawer. I think these ones might be real brush pens. This is one of my big favorites in this book. Came out really lovely and vibrant, and same story. It was based with alcohol markers from my random marker drawer, and then it was worked over. Yeah, and Sharpies as well. I used some Sharpies here as well as a base. And then it was worked over with some, I think it was color blend pencils by Spectrum Noir, because I can see they're very waxy. You can see how shiny, you know, the kind of wax gleam. So I think they were color blend pencils from them, and you know, kind of just shaded everything. These ones, the bubbles are done with a combination of Rutfuna macarons and color blend pencils that put some darker bits into the bubbles as well. And then of course some acrylic marker, or yeah, pretty sure it's acrylic marker, not gel pen. Can't swear, but pretty sure. Do I have anything else here? Oh yeah, the Birth of Venus. As we all know it, I tried to keep that one in the kind of similar color scheme and similar slightly muted tones than the actual painting. You know, I took those kind of muted pinks from there, and the shell, you know, some grays. I put some little bit of a kind of a blush into the capybara Venus's skin. I don't know if it shows, but I'm very happy with that one. Plus, I think the idea is absolutely hilarious. There's another one there with the Birth of Adam, or Creation of Adam. Oh yeah, this one, which one day I will do the capybara version, and it will be glorious. And oh yeah, this one is just a base with, here you can see this is all real brush markers. So basically I just put down a base for coloring with them, and you know, they work fine here. They do give the paper a little bit of a kind of, it's not exactly buckled, but it's not as straight as it was, you know, originally. But it's absolutely fine, and if I put pencils on top here, color pens with pencils on top here, that'll actually straighten up the paper. This one is also water-based. The rebrush markers, you can see I've done the gradients here, dipped it into water, and then, you know, went darker at the bottom. And I put some reflections into the water. So next step is to do the crocodile, put the reflections of the crocodile capybara into the water, and then do the rest of the water. This is how my, you know, brain works anyway in this one. And I think that's it in this book. But you know, I can see myself coloring in this book for a long time to come, and enjoy every single minute of it. Now, one of my favorite artists, portrait artists. I am kind of picky about what portraits I like and what portraits I don't like. Sometimes too cutesy ones don't really appeal to me. Some of them do, which is kind of weird. Sorry, I had a drink. Tanya Bond is one of the ones that I do like. Like, she does have this kind of a big eyes, big heads thing going on that I'm usually not a huge fan of. But somehow, you know, there's enough edge and character to her portraits that I still like her work. And I was very lucky because she actually lives in Ireland. And, you know, usually the sending cost for any artist released books is just, you know, making them so expensive. I can't, you know, fathom it. But you know, the shipping cost was very low, and I actually bought from the Etsy, her own kind of self-published, or kind of, you know, self-created artist version. So these ones are actually on nice paper. Not nice paper in the sense that I would put big, you know, I would expect big watercolor the washes to hold up here very well. Although they might. I don't really know. I haven't tried it because I haven't really felt the need, to be honest. This one is, they do have names. So this one is Woodland Guardian, because I like to take the frames out. I like to frame them. I don't like leaving these bits white. Often the reason is that, you know, I smeared it with something that was on the page, so I just clean it up with some paint. But this is some acrylic marker. The base is here, once again, Pro marker, so it's my random marker drawer. I used different markers on there to base it. And then light fast pencils to do the face and the skin. I think most of it is light fast pencils. And those pencils are my absolute dream. Like, I love them. The way skin comes out, you know, luminous, soft, beautiful, very, very natural. Just gorgeous. Of course, the paper helps here because it's a decent paper, so, you know, you can probably do more stuff. This one here, because I didn't like the really dark mouth kind of lines, I wanted to take them out to see if I can. I based her with alcohol marker, and then I took white pit pen, the brush version, and I went over the lines with that. And I want to now see, if I start coloring it, you know, will it help me to kind of soften and disguise, you know, how the pencils are going to react to the lines disguised that way. That's her postcard that she sent me. I think it's oil pastel. It looks absolutely gorgeous. So I'm keeping it here as a, you know, when I'm coloring, I have that as a marker of the page. And this one is one of my favorite pages ever. It just came out so good. It's all the base, the back is alcohol markers. There's no pencils at the back, you know, all the sky and the kind of ice structures is alcohol markers, and then Posca white. And her base is alcohol markers as well, but then I went shuttle art black barrel pencils. That's all I used here. You know, this is not done with fancy pencils. This is done with, you know, the black barrel Brutfoner pencils, the simplest one, just exactly the same ones as shuttle art, and I think somebody else is also color might have a set with them as well. Anyway, those are the pencils I used for doing the skin, and, you know, I think it came out really nice considering. So all I put down here for the skin was just one, you know, flat layer of very light Pro marker. Pro markers have the best light skin tones, the best natural. They have the best inks, full stop. But sadly, they only come either with the bullet tip or very, very expensive brush tip. And that brush tip I don't like. It's too flexible and I'm not keen on it. So I actually prefer the bullet tips. But their inks are the absolute best. They're actually, I think their inks are better than Copic inks. The color, you know, selections, and they're just beautiful. And, you know, as usual, I have tossed down some bases, and once again, I've been trying here to kind of do the same thing with a bit brush pen to kind of lighten the lines of the face. to see how it will work. And I still haven't actually gone on top with pencils to try it out. But you know, I will. And it's a fantastic book, and I will go back to it very soon. And another one from the same author is Astro Inklings. Sorry, I will put that back here, just make sure that it doesn't smear. Astro Inklings, that is also artist edition, that I also ordered from Etsy a little bit later than the first one. So I've only really done one here, but I will go back to it because for some reason I don't want to kind of do those pages quickly, because it's a really nice quality paper. It's the artist I genuinely like, so I kind of want to take my time with these pages and do them when I exactly feel like it. But it also came out, I think, really nice. And the sky is once again done mostly with alcohol markers that blend from the gray, once again pro markers. For some reason I do most of the stuff in her books, I base it pro markers because I like the colors. And all these, the base is all pro markers, and then I put pencils on top. I'm pretty sure that this one was done light fast pencils. Again, all the reflections and little kind of interesting bits in her skin. I think it came out very interesting and fun, and the way the clothes, the color variations. Really like that one. That's Cancer. The page is Cancer. And I don't even know if I've based... Oh, and I did paper piecing. I don't usually do much paper piecing, but I did here. There was this kind of the crown was just a blob of flat nothing on her head. And I kind of, it didn't really look like much. So I put kind of like textured pattern paper. Here you can see behind, it's glued from the behind there. I cut it out and put it behind. And I don't think I have anything else here, but I should now in coming months take another star sign and paint do it there. Her art is hit and miss with me. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. I don't ever want to do too much of it because they kind of do start feeling pretty samey. This is, well, I don't think she even has any books that aren't artist version. She only sells her books on Etsy, and the paper, in all the fairness, is absolutely fantastic. I only have one book of hers, and I have a couple of digital versions of her books, which, I have some printouts, and I do them occasionally on the mixed media paper. And this is just WIP. I just put down oh, that's real brush markers. All that, kind of the blush here on her skin and everything. There's no pencils there. This is all real brush markers, just a base. There's kind of a subtle blush there and under her eyes and the lips. So you can do really good bases with real brush markers if you get good, like Zig has actual skin tone set, and it's very good. I think it has 6 pens in it, and they're all very good for basing images like that. And the only one that I have finished here, I like this book because it's goddess themed. It's what's Mystic Art Mirrors, yes. And anything to do with mythology, I am automatically, all for it. I want to do it. So that's why I got this book, because there's, fun and interesting characters here. And this is my Fortuna for last New Year's. So this is done with... Okay, the background is White Knights watercolor, White Knights and Roman Schmal, so it must have been a mix of 2 of the sets. Then the skin is, Derwent Lightfoot, there's Polly's, there's Pablo's, there's Prisma White here. There's a lot of different pencils in this image. And then there's the extreme glitter, a folk art, a paint, and some postcards. It's some glaze pens in her nails. I like doing nails of people in the glaze pen because it's the easiest way to get them kind of shiny. You know, sometimes you don't want to put a huge effort into such a tiny area, you just do it. Okay, dream coloring for kids, popularized or brought to my attention anyway by Maya. And it was kind of, once again, I put the cover onto it because things get banged up. This is a WIP. I put the full base in it, and I've started pencil work in a couple of bits here, but it's all water-based markers and acrylic markers. Mostly water-based markers, yeah, I think. Yeah. They do kind of, you know, if you do it fairly wet, they do go through to the other page, but I don't really mind that much. It's always possible to cover it up, plus this book has like 90 pages that I'm never going to, you know, color them all. But love this book a lot. Oh, this is just a random page that I have based with pretty sure water-based markers. Okay, this is just, you know, putting some oh yeah, this is acrylic marker, and I was very unhappy with how it laid down. It was like super uneven, so I tried to kind of create deliberate texture here to see, you know, if that would work, but that doesn't look great either. There's another acrylic marker, but that one came, you know, went down really nicely. Sometimes I just like to put, you know, random color down, and I find these books are really great for that. So this is, you know, testing some paper. This is a lot of different media from, you know, different water-based markers. There's watercolor pencils here because the water, you know, kind of color variations like this are super easy to achieve. Kind of watercolor pencils, you just put different areas of color down and then carefully blend them together, constantly cleaning your brush. There's, yeah, a lot of kind of these I think might have been graphite tints here in the castle. There's some pencils on top of water-based markers, a lot of acrylic paint pens, glitter ones, Sakura glaze, you know, it's just a lot and lot. And the background is Simtap marker. Once again, love these markers for backgrounds. Like, I think that one is actually done with this marker. They are great because they're enough easy to get the paint to flow quite freely, and you know, sometimes you need to go over twice, but it gives a really nice and smooth result. But I don't think I did twice here, it's just one coat. Do I have any other pages here? Oh yeah, I do have this Princess in the Castle page. Once again, everything glistens. If you do like this, you sparkly. Dragon sparkles, the castle sparkles. There's Calero paints here. I like to use watercolor pencils here to kind of do those, you know, subtle color gradations and then give nice bright or soft outline to things. Like the clouds are done with two watercolor pencils blended together, and then there's acrylic marker or possibly gel pen around them, and the effect, I think, is really, really cute. And, you know, not a huge amount of work, but because those pages are detailed, they do not go super fast, obviously, because, you know, it's just the amount of detail that you're dealing with, you know, takes its time. But I really enjoy doing pages in this book. I think they're very creative and very fun, although, you know, I wouldn't really consider them that much kids' books. I think they would be a bit too much for kids. And this is another book I absolutely adore. This is called Calming Coloring for Kids. It's the same series, same publisher. Once again, over 90 scenes to color. Love the artwork. I just think it's so distinctive. You know, it's the sort of artwork that you instantly recognize. But, oh, this is that artist. Who is the artist? She was written here. Marusha Bell. And the other book, the dream coloring, the artist was Anastasia Tkacheva. And this one is Marusha Bell. and love, love, love the pages. Not every single one, but most of the pages I feel, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. I could just sit with that book for a month and be happy, honestly. Well, I would eventually probably want to do something else, but you know what I mean. And this is how I often work here. I put a swath. These are, I'm not sure if it's gouache or acrylic gouache or possibly diluted acrylic paint, but I put some, you know, kind of swaths of color down in certain areas. Then I'm going to probably come here with acrylic markers and do those branches and stuff, because I can work on top of this glaze very easily. I could, of course, you know, on that sort of a diluted acrylic paint, you can use work pencils as well. Not a problem at all. Pencils work, especially softer pencils, work very well on top of acrylic wash. This is one of the pages that is finished, and you can see this is gouache, kind of pastel gouache, and acrylic markers. That's pretty much it. There's, I think, a minuscule amount of pencil here, you know, in the boys' like pants, I think, and there's a tiny bit underneath his hair and, you know, underneath his chin. That is pretty much it. Everything else here is markers, acrylic pens, gel pens. I'm pretty sure, you know, those flowers, those are neon gel pens. What is here? Oh, this is actually a fail, because I tried watercolor here, actually pure watercolor, and I discovered that watercolor gets, you know, this kind of a like dots on the paper, and that really annoyed me. You know, watercolor didn't really sit well on this paper. So, you know, I left it as is, but you know, all the base here is done with watercolor, because, you know, I started, I finished, but you can see how it breaks into the dots on this paper. So I'm not using pure watercolor here. I'm using either gouache or diluted acrylics, or diluted acrylic gouache, which is essentially matte acrylic paint. Go figure. Gouache, some pencil on, sorry, I think it's gouache, yeah, and some pencil on top. And then a lot of, you know, different gel pens and acrylic markers and glitter markers. And this one is also gouache. You know, the kind of base is done with gouache, and the sky and the hills and everything. And then the only kind of fully pencils part is the bear. Bear is done pencils only. Pencils, by the way, laid down absolutely fantastic in this book. Really good. Beautiful tooth. Pretty much any pencil's worth its salt. Shows fantastic performance in this book. And the trees and, you know, the outlines and everything is acrylic markers, the brush markers now. I think the Guangna ones, the cheap double-ended ones. And this one is, I'm trying to figure out, I think that base here is once again, might have actually been oil pastels diluted with a bit of oil, kind of, you know, blended out. And then the rest of it is pretty much, you know, there's some acrylic markers, some pencils, you know, the skin and the shirt and the dog have some pencils on them. But a lot of it, you know, and the house is done with pencils here. But a lot of it is just pure acrylic brush pen work. And I think they, you know, are fun. And this is a cool acrylic marker I have. This basically like mirror paint. Like, that's how shiny it is and reflective. Doesn't really show here on the camera, but it's really cool. Anyway, it's a fun book. I will keep continuously working in it. And my next Coloring Heaven edition that I've colored in is, it's actually one of my favorites, and the only reason I haven't colored here more is because I was so unhappy with paper. I love that edition. It's called Wildwood Witches Special, and the artist is Steve Hutton. I hadn't heard of him before, but it's really interesting, kind of like exactly the sort of stuff I like to color. They're like scenes, but I did only one page here actually, and you can see how banged up the back is because it did not like me doing the stuff I did to it. And this is the page. It's based a lot with watercolor, and there's some gouache, dabbed gouache in the sky because I couldn't lift the clouds, so kind of really work the watercolor the way it's supposed to be worked. So it's a bit, you know, kind of gonky here because I can't really blend or play. Now I would be able to do a bit better because I worked out, you know, some methods how to deal with pages that, you know, don't like water at all. But, you know, back then I was not doing well. And, you know, I love the image itself, of course. Coloring Heaven, Fledgling Fairies, Christine Karen. Okay, Christine Karen, I have this weird, I like her art and I don't. Oh, this is my daughter. That's not me. This is colored by my daughter and it looks fantastic, actually. I think it looks beautiful. I like that she made the face blue and, you know, very natural looking leaves. And it's clearly on alcohol marker base and some pencils. It's a very good job. That must have been a couple of years ago. She might have been like, what, 14 then? 14, 13? She's talented. Anyways, I like her art and I don't. Her women are often very infantized or infantile. Yeah, you know what I mean. Kind of slightly too cutesy for me sometimes. But, you know, that one I can kind of see myself doing, you know. She looks like a grown-up woman. You know, but sometimes they're just too cute. But these ones, yeah, they're okay. And I liked this one, but I did not, like, I wasn't getting along with the paper. I didn't expect to be fighting with paper as much as I did because everybody was saying, oh, it's good for pencils. So I do a full pencil page. And it did not love the pencils at all. I don't remember what pencils I used in the sky, but they just wouldn't blend or lay down evenly. And I know how to work a pencil, you know. I would hope so, you know, at least somewhat, but it didn't work for me here at all. The stonework is kind of okay, but, you know, I was trying to get it darker and it wouldn't really, you know, take that much pencil for me. I got the wings all right. I do like the wings, kind of like iridescent wing. They looked all right, but yeah, it's kind of pale and uninspiring, you know, the way it came out. And then I, of course, because I had this disappointment, I wasn't going into this magazine anymore. And I was thinking about getting her book, I don't remember its name, but basically on the one in the good paper. But then I wasn't sure, do I really want to? Because I don't enjoy coloring children. There's a lot of kind of childish portraits there. And I do, you know, enjoy coloring scenes more than just pure, you know. Although that portrait is pretty enough and I, you know, would like it enough to actually color it. So maybe in the future, but I haven't made up my mind. This is in Egyptian, ancient Egypt collection by Coloring Heaven, and that's Fabiana Twer. Sorry if I mispronounce it. And her line art is beautiful, although she has kind of, the faces are genuinely beautiful, but the rest of the line art, often there's like copy-paste feel to it. Like these two leaves are basically mirrors of each other, you know. There's a lot of that sort of a thing going on, plus sometimes lines end kind of in illogical places or nowhere. But it's still beautiful, it's still workable. I still like her art a lot. It's not pure, you know, kind of, it's definitely not AI, and it's not pure kind of computer art, but there is a big And this one I managed to forget to put the paper beneath it when I was coloring, so I ruined one of the images, and that's kind of image I actually like, but you know, it happens. And the only one I've done here is Anubis, and Anubis came out cool. But yeah, like here is one of the examples. There's a smoke and the hands are kind of coming out, but there's a hand that comes out from kind of nowhere. And I didn't notice it in the time to kind of make the smoke thicker, and I'm going to pull it down here. So suddenly I was stuck with this hand that goes out from this wisp of smoke, which, you know, might be, but it kind of annoyed me. Anubis came out good. I like the way it's skin, it's alcohol marker base. All is based with alcohol markers, and a lot of it is actually blended with alcohol markers, because all of these are just alcohol marker blend. You know, those on the smoke and on the background. I didn't put anything else in there, just alcohol markers. And everything, you know, on the Anubis is also based with alcohol markers, but I have put some pencil on top. So this was dark gray alcohol marker flat, and then I put some darks and lights into it, and it was super fast and super easy, and I think it looks very effective and brings out the 8-pack to its best. So yeah, I will probably work here again. The line work is fun enough, and there's not too many kind of Egyptian mythology, nice, you know, fun Egyptian mythology books around, which I wish there were more, because it's cool. This was one of the first Coloring Heaven magazines I got, and I think it was just before they went over to that super thin paper, which means that the paper in this issue, you know, wouldn't be super thick or super good, but it's a little bit better than what it is there now, I think. And, you know, I have several bases here. I've tried, you know, putting down watercolor, and, you know, you can do something, you know, a little bit. Kind of not great, but, you know, I would be better at it now, you know, when those were put down. I was still learning how to, you know, work watercolor in that sort of a thin paper. It would be better now, but, you know, still, like, I was able to do something. The face is alcohol marker. This one was the base is actually, it might have been that I did it fully with pencils. Did I? Let's check. Yeah, the skin is full pencil work, and the background I know is soft pastel. I did here, and then I just put black acrylic to kind of frame this oval better. Yeah, everything here is just pencils. Yeah, that's something I don't do nowadays too much, especially on a thinner paper like that. And this one, let me see, the face is alcohol marker, the rest of her is pencils. Possibly, yeah, the dress is based with, and dress and the bow are based with the water-based marker, very light kind of water-based marker. And then there's pencils on top. That was quite a long time ago. I do not remember, you know, what pencils I used. They might have been Black Widows or possibly polychromos. This is just a base that I tossed down. Now, this is now the difference of how I put watercolor base down, big wash down now, as opposed to what I did before. This is full watercolor. Like, this page was soaking wet. It was absolutely dripping. And I put down full color base. And it was my own fault. I didn't dry it in straight position. You know, you kind of have to make sure that it's, you know, flat when it dries. That's hence these kind of little ridges here. But these actually come out quite well, either with iron or just coloring. If you color on top of it, they kind of flatten. So, sorry, my nose is kind of in a bad state today, so I might sound congested. Well, I do sound congested. Another color by number. Dogs. And yeah, okay, it was the color by number about dogs. Clearly I had to get it. I love dogs. And this one was, for a while, one of those books that if I was in slump or didn't want to color, I would do something in it. And I would do something with gouache. Yeah, those are all gouache pages. They were kind of just really relaxing, fun, you know, put down color. And then when you had color, I had color left over. I didn't start this page, you know, kind of just start and then not finish. It was basically, oh, you know, I mixed too much greens here, so I put, you know, more green here, or I mixed some of that color, because the colors here are pretty much, you know, these colors, they're established. So, you know, there's not like Disney books where there's loads of different ones. So essentially, if you had too much of that, you will find loads of places in the book where to put it down. You know, there's some grays here that I've clearly, you know, mixed too much. I finished this little mud. You know, there's some gray here that I've, you know, mixed too much. Some colors here. I don't think there's any more dogs. Yeah. And I can see myself, you know, if I'm kind of in a slump or tired, you know, to just go back that, mix some gouache and just put it down. Another color by numbers is this one, and the same story. It's kind of a easy color by number, meaning that it has kind of big, easy to read areas. This one is done with watercolor, just regular kind of a kid's watercolor. I wouldn't say the result is great, but I still prefer it to the felt tip pen, or, you know, kind of water-based marker finish, because at least it's not streaky. But it's very hard in a watercolor like this to get kind of even swath of the same color. So there's slight variations, but I kind of think it makes it more interesting, you know. This is gouache, a little lamb. Also, pretty sure it's gouache. Yeah, also gouache. Also gouache. And I think that's it. Is there any more anything? Did I do something else? I have this memory of doing some sort of a snow scene, but I might be... See, I have also given away some books, so I might have memories of something that is not in my collection anymore when I say things like that. But, you know, the same story, because this established color palette, I think it's at the end. No, actually I'm wrong. You know, but, you know, simple colors. You know, I had too much of this color, therefore I stuck it down somewhere. Okay, only 2 books left. So, Terry Pratchett's Discworld. We have to start with the fact that I'm a huge fan of Terry Pratchett. I have pretty sure read every single book he's ever written. Some of them, or most of them, well, not most of them, but some of them more than twice. Genuinely love him. Love his sense of humor. Love the way, you know, his social awareness. Love the way he saw the world and created the world. And also love the art of his books. And this is now, the current book is for the same author, Paul Kidby, who actually, you know, did all his covers and all his promotional art and, you know, posters and stuff like this. So it is genuinely the real article. And I discovered that the watercolor doesn't really go down here, you know. Once again, I think it was the issue with the little dots. So I have put satin glaze down on several spreads that I want to color, and I do have to use it here, but I will get to them and I will do them. And often I don't want to sacrifice, like I could do him with alcohol markers because I don't really care about this here, but at the time I didn't think of it clearly. But, you know, I just love, like, that's Susan, Odette's granddaughter, and she is awesome. And I love her from the bottom of my little black heart. It's just a fantastic book. So I've done kind of a couple of simple spreads here because I was kind of finding my legs or sea legs here, or so I did that one. And this is now satin glaze and then watercolors. that base, that heavy base, is done with watercolors, and the little dog is based with watercolors as well. You know, there's watercolors everywhere. And then I've done the shading with Naoni pencils and Prismacolor. I think Prismacolor is mainly the white and possibly some black. The rest of it is all done with Naoni. And then I've sprayed some metallic watercolor here. As you can see, those sparkles. And I love him. He's so fantastic dog. He is the best dog. Such a sarcastic, cynical little creature in the books, and it's great. And also did the cat, because you know, couldn't do the dog if not the cat. So Nanny Og's cat, absolute murderous. Oh, he's a character. He's a real character. And I kind of tried to follow, you know, how the actual artwork, initial artwork, kind of looked like, but you know. And once again, it's satin glazing base, and then I put watercolors down in it, couple of layers, and those, if you put couple of layers, gentle layers, you can't move things too much. You kind of have to layer things. And if you put a couple of layers of watercolor pigment down, the fine pigment of the watercolor actually is fighting then the roughness of the satin glazing, and the pencils go down much better. The last book, finally you say, is the Moomin coloring book that I got as a present from my daughter. That's the full-sized one that I think has more pictures than the mini one that I also have, that I had bought myself. And of course, you know, I love it. I love the fact that I got it from her. I love the art. I love the stories behind them, because I did grow up with Moomin stories. And actually, now that I'm looking at it, I should probably try oil pastels here in the backgrounds, because, you know, those big empty backgrounds in, you know, kind of chunky line art would actually lend itself very well to oil pastels. The only problem being that the paper is fairly smooth, so sometimes the oil pastels actually don't like laying or blending on a very smooth paper. But, you know, won't find out without trying. And the pages I've done, this one is a WIP here, Hemio, the ancestor, you know, kind of like Moomin house. And I just, there's not, like, I would need to put some more base down. I was mainly testing how the watercolor was like on the paper here, and the answer is no. Don't like much. It does go through, yeah. Watercolor definitely goes through. It actually lays down on the paper kind of all right. You can even move it, you know, a little bit. But, you know, as you can see, it totally goes down. So, you know, unless you know, don't care about the page on the other side, probably shouldn't be used. But the one that then, oh, that one is also, I think I tried here, I don't even know what I tried here, some sort of a media that, you know, how it's going to work. Then I tried gouache, and I kind of did those washes of gouache. I kind of diluted it into kind of a like creamy, fairly thin consistency, and I did the backgrounds with those kind of liquid gouache washes, and that actually worked super well here. Like nothing went through, it's fine. And you know, the paper didn't even buckle very much, because you know, gouache doesn't really buckle paper much. And you know, if it's used like that in a very kind of a liquid or thin form, you can even get some paper. Usually gouache likes pencils less than acrylic paint or acrylic gouache, but you know, if it's very thin like that, like I used it here, I was even able to put tiny bits of pencil, like, you know, I did deepen the shadow here slightly under the chin, and you know, I put a tiny bit here underneath his muzzle as well. Yeah, so totally works here, and it says Arteza Gouache Chroma Flow pencils, which is obviously what I used here, but they're literally here, and I think some bit in its hair and inside her ears. That's it. That's the extent of the pencils. Everything else is done with different gouache washes and some metallic watercolors. So that's it for today, for this time. Hopefully you liked some of my works and had a good time. If you like my channel, please like and subscribe, so YouTube would offer my videos to you. Hope you're having a good morning or day or evening, whatever the time is in your corner of the world. And bye-bye.